Have you ever noticed how when you're looking at the night sky, there are some stars so faint you only see them as you look away? Try to look directly at them and they disappear. So it is with the voices in my head. Try to focus on one too intensely and off it goes. But when I'm relaxing, when I'm just being, that's when faint whispers make themselves known. It's in those quiet moments, those moments between moments, that I can sit back and listen and say, "Ah, I see you now. I hear you now."
The gentleman's read roll call out in the open. I think my feeling at the time was, well, what the hell, we'll see. I said, you know what? I'm Jewish. I am Jewish. So there it is. Well, it turned out the Jewish PWs who had lied and said they weren't Jewish were sent to go out on a work detail midwinter. Oh, this was regarded as great, more of a chance of food, so on, so forth. Well, it turned out to be quite the opposite. One day, some of these men came back, and they looked like ghosts, living ghosts. Hundreds had gone, a handful returned. And they told us that the rest of these soldiers who had gone on this so-called work detail froze to death, working on the railroads. Hopelessly confused. The dead don't know they're dead. They slap themselves with vapor. They walk through doors amazed. They believe they still live in bodies. Through underworld tunnels to sunrise, we descend to the place of shadows, transforming death wish falcons into light out of these realms of retaliation. A lump of ashes, 10 billion boxes of ashes. Oh, men, women, children, cut down, shot, torn. Tender spirits, floating bodiless, now out of the frenzied mankind of war, go to the place of bliss, beyond birth, beyond death. Liberation is here, now.
We are a new group of converts, learning as we go along. It evolves slowly, this process of shedding the old ways and taking on more and more of the Islamic practices of this sect. After 5 years, it's heading toward fundamentalism. It becomes oppressive and creepy, and I fear I'm losing all sense of myself. I become far too dependent on Conrad, who now goes by Hakim. I can't discuss my inner conflicts with anyone for fear of being reported to Central. Ian Dallas, who now goes by Abdul Qadir, runs the whole show. He establishes one community in England and one in America, and we go back and forth organizing both. Visas for Morocco only last 6 weeks at a time, and we have to spend a year in Pakistan. By the time I get to Karachi, I have 2 little boys and I'm pregnant with another. We go from the biting snows of England to the stifling heat of Pakistan. 4 days after we arrive in the downtown section of Karachi, martial law is imposed. We have walked right into a revolution, and we have 1 hour a day to get out and buy our rice and dal. If we're not back by the end of the hour, they're ready to shoot us for breaking curfew. Not long after this curfew is imposed, Bhutto is overthrown. It's a very dangerous time, and I'm in the last trimester of pregnancy. We move 10 or 11 times in a year, typically squatting in places you can hardly call shelter. We're here so that Conrad can study with a medicine teacher, a true Hakim. All day, every day, he goes out to his lessons, while I stay with the kids, washing everything by hand. Then Abdul Qadir decides that Tucson, Arizona is the place to be. And when Abdul Qadir decides something, every man in that set jumps. So now we're in Tucson, and I don't know a soul. And again, I'm totally dependent on Conrad for everything. Food, shelter, everything. They've established a little community, and they expect crowds to flock to hear Abdul Qadir's teachings and his speeches. His speeches are so disturbing. From the beginning, Adolf Hitler, with his astonishing genius, saw that the 2 triangles forming what is wickedly referred to as the Star of David symbolized a process at work. Then, when it was too late, he saw that he had underestimated the Jews. But before he died, Hitler said, "This whole world must come back to this issue." This is now happening. Hitler was the only mujahid of the century.
Well, I didn't pay much attention to Hitler. It was a sort of lunacy. There was a lunacy going on in Russia with Stalin and with Hitler. Well, that happens over there. We're here. We're sane. No problem. Simple. What was happening in Europe was happening in Europe. That was there. Simple.
Rachel, when I'm pregnant with you, I hear a voice that becomes more and more persistent. If you don't play music again, you're gonna die. And this time I know it's true because the voice is coming from my heart. Music in my life was like air and water, and I didn't realize how essential it was until it was taken away from me. Synchronistically, I hear of an opening at the University of Arizona for a dance accompanist. After 6 years not touching the piano keys, I walk down to the university and they give me the job. But it isn't long before Abdul Qadir forbids me to work for the Kafirun, the non-believers. He threatens that if I go to my job, I shouldn't come home. Then he says, don't come back for your children either. When I met Conrad, music was our life. Now he simply delivers Abdul Qadir's dictums without trying to defend or protect me, without a care for how I feel. In Abdul Qadir's sect, there is no art for art's sake. Conrad gave up his art for religion. My husband is not my friend anymore. I stood by and watched while each year Conrad diminished and Hakim emerged. His transformation into Hakim was now complete. I married one man, but now I have to escape from another.